Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sitting Down with an Athletics Director, State of the Programs, here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. This is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika, and we are here at Jordan Vocational High School. I'm here with the Jordan Athletics Director, Coach Russell Scott. And Coach, it seemed like we were doing this like yesterday. We were here a year ago for the Sitting Down with an Athletics Director, and I had the privilege of interviewing you and talking about the great programs here at Jordan. Coach, it's great to be back here at Jordan.
Great. Glad to have you back, too. It seems like time does really fly, though.
It really does.
Yeah, time does fly.
But before we dive into all the sports, and we will get to the sports, I mean, we had sports that made history last season. Just talk a little bit about your background. Where are you from? What brought you to become the athletic director here at Jordan? And what sports have you coached? And your teaching background? And really, where did you grow up and what led you to coaching?
Okay, well, just like a lot of people here in Columbus, I am a military brat. My father was a military officer at what was then Fort Benning, which is now Fort Moore. Stayed here in Columbus. Ended up graduating from Hardaway High School. While I was at Hardaway, I ran track and I wrestled. And that's actually where I kind of got that spark for wanting to coach. After I graduated from high school, went off to Atlanta, went to college at Morris Brown, graduated from there, came back. As soon as I came back, right after graduation, ended up teaching at Richards Middle School. While I was there, I taught health and personal fitness, was the track coach and also the football coach. Under Dave Atkins, and from there, 4 years spent at Richards, got an invite to come over to Jordan to take over the wrestling program, and the rest is history.
And by the way, the wrestling program is the staple of this school. Just multiple region championships. We talked about you won a state championship back in 1992, hanging a bunch of banners, a lot of great individual accomplishments from the wrestling team. We will get into the wrestling team later, but really what makes wrestling so special that you get to coach wrestling here at Jordan and also be the athletic director? I know that last year we were in the wrestling room. Jordan takes pride in their wrestling program.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got a lot of kids, and well, I can't call them kids anymore. They're adults now,
right?
Well into their 30s and 40s. But for years, they've helped me break down the cafeteria just to roll out our mat so that we can have practice. And now, within the past 5-6 years, we've been blessed with a wrestling room, and that's really taken our program up to another level. Definitely.
And when you think of Jordan athletics, by the way, there's several people that I know that are proud alumni of Jordan, including one of our broadcasting colleagues, Rick Beach from Kutsu Sports.
Oh, yeah.
He graduated here at Jordan.
He wrestled for me, too.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That is great to hear.
Small world.
Yeah, very small world. Yeah, we appreciate Rick Beach and everything that he does for Kutsu Sports and for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Also, the Calvary Christian head football coach, Emmanuel Brunson, played wide receiver, defensive back here at Jordan for the football team. I've known Coach Brunson for 10 years. We were both in the Georgia Army National Guard together back in 2015.
Great guy.
Absolutely. And then when you think of Jordan, you also think of Terrence Hill, that won a state championship
in
basketball in 2007. He is now the head basketball coach at Columbus High. And just so many great alumni here at this school, Coach. But right now, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and take a break. But when we come back, we're going to dive into all these sports. We're going to talk about their head coaches. We're going to talk about the vision and the future of where Jordan Athletics is headed. Don't go anywhere. This is Sitting Down with an Athletics Director, State of the Programs. We are live here at Jordan Vocational High School here with the athletic director, Coach Russell Scott. We'll be back here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Are you ready to save big on a new Chevrolet?
Make your way to Glenn Smith Chevrolet. Choose America's #1 compact SUV, the Chevy Equinox, discounted up to $6,500 off. The powerful Chevy Silverados are up to $13,750 off. And the big Chevy Silverado 2500 HTs are discounted up to $6,000 off. Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika.
Get ready to smile.
Welcome back. We're here at Jordan Vocational High School. It is Sitting Down with an athletics director, state of the programs, here with AD Coach Scott. And let's talk about Jordan athletics. We're going to start with the sports in the fall. We're going to start with cheerleading. It's not a competition, but who is the head coach for the cheerleading squad, and what are some of the things they do at several events?
Well, our cheerleading coach is Coach Forbes, and she's done an outstanding job with our cheerleading program. If it has to do with football, basketball, I've even had them in the past years to come through to some of the wrestling matches.
Nice.
And they've been a real big supporter of all the sports or anything that we have here at Jordan High School.
All right, let's talk about cross country. Who's the cross country coach, and what are some of the areas where the team will practice? I know being in the center of Columbus, not a whole lot of jogging paths,
right?
But I know that you got the jogging trail that goes all the way to the river walk. But what are some areas where the team will practice, and where are some of the places where they'll have cross country meets?
Normally we have our practices either here at Jordan, where we're doing maybe a short block around the school, but an ideal place where we go to practice is down at Lake Bottom.
Oh, that's right.
You know, cross country is during the hottest part of the year, but down at Lake Bottom you have the trees, and they give us a little bit of shade with the canopy and whatnot. So and it's real, conducive for what we're trying to do. So getting out there, getting a little jog in during the shade, and I'm actually the cross country coach.
Yeah, that was my next question. I know you actually talked about it, where you're taking pride in cross country. I think that's incredible. Like you actually went into detail on what the cross country program did. I'm thinking he must have a hand in this. So that's great that you are the cross country coach. Great meets, just especially now that all the teams in Columbus minus Northside are in the same region.
Right.
We can have like a Columbus Invitational.
Well, actually what we do is during our regular season, all the Columbus schools run against each other anyway.
That is awesome.
Okay? So we still get to see one another even if we're not in the same region, because last year I was in the same region with some of the Macon schools. So, we took a trip to Macon just to see the competition and run against them, but we still ran against our local teams, every week.
Look, Coach, I do want to say something, because, we could have ended up making history on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Our producer, Chris Gates, has got a drone.
Oh, man.
We have got to live stream a cross-country event.
You need to. And
I think we got to make that happen.
I've already been down that road before, and I've tried to get people to do it because I thought it would be so cool for the drone to just follow
the runners.
And I've already cleared it with Jeff Battles, and this was 8 years ago. This was 8 years ago that I put this out there at one point, and we had a little bit of problems at one point with airspace, airport space or whatnot,
right.
some technical issues or red tape or whatnot, but that's all been cleared. But that was something that I was really looking forward to doing.
Yeah, I will make sure I have the camera at the finish line.
Oh, that'll work. That'll work. All
right, the next sport we want to talk about is flag football. I know with heavy hearts, we had the tragedy with Coach Napier a couple of years ago, and I know that it really shook the Jordan community.
Oh, yeah.
And, but I do believe what Coach Cobb has done to take that program over, just talk about the healing process that the flag football team went through after the passing of Coach Napier.
Well, Coach Napier, he was actually one of my students also, while he was here, because he's a graduate of Jordan High School. And, it was something that just caught everyone, off guard. But Coach Coach Cobb has done a marvelous job of, like, you know, putting her arms around the kids and, you know, making them feel like, you know, it's going to be okay. You know, it's a part of life and things like this happen. And we don't want it to happen to anyone, you know, that we know especially. And for such a young life to get, you know, cut so short. And he was loved by everybody. Everybody loved Coach Napier. I mean, you know, Jimmy, you know, everybody loved Jimmy. You know.
The support, the hashtag Napier Strong.
Yes.
And to have a coach like Coach Cobb, really just with the compassion to put her arms around the students, and really she has just been a blessing here at Jordan. The flag football school, the team starting this upcoming season. What are some of the things that Coach Cobb has got to get the team prepared for this upcoming season?
Well, you know, she runs her program a lot like I do. She tries to keep her kids together as much as she can, and then that way that, you know, no matter what season it is, they're constantly training, they're constantly, you know, competing, and, you know, that is what she's done. Right now, Coach Cobb is probably, I think she's at CSU at a camp for her kids. You know,
I tell you,
last week she just, I mean, 2-3 days ago, she just came back from an FCA camp. So
I got to ask, Coach, how many sports does she coach?
I don't know if I should say on camera. I'm getting recorded.
She has her hand in just about every sport here at Jordan. I mean, the head girls basketball.
We run neck and neck of how many sports we coach. We're constantly trying to outdo each other, but
it's incredible.
I couldn't ask for a better coach.
Absolutely.
Couldn't ask for a better coach.
The assistant baseball coach under Coach Lane, the girls flag football coach,
girls basketball, everything.
Absolutely.
She helps me in track, you know, some of everything. So Coach Cobb is really a gem.
All right, so from flag football, we go to volleyball, which, by the way, they start before football season starts.
Yeah.
And that's another sport that Georgia Alabama Sports Live is going to try to be at. Who is the volleyball coach, and when does their season get underway?
Coach Lane is our volleyball coach.
The baseball coach?
Yeah, our baseball coach is also, you know, we're a small community here at Jordan, you know, so there's not many coaches that are on our staff that only coach one sport. But volleyball starts at the beginning of the officially at the beginning of the school year. Summertime is when they're working out, they're practicing, you know, they're getting their reps in and whatnot. But that is the main time of the season for volleyball. Mm-hmm. From
volleyball to a sport which in the GHSA, they play it in the fall. It's not a traditional fall sport, but softball, it's been just a tradition where they have the playoffs here at the South Commons Softball Complex. Right. The Jordan softball team, who is the coach, and when does their season get underway?
Oh, well, again, Coach Cobb.
How about that?
Who would have thought?
Two sports in the same season.
She does good at juggling what she does. You know, Coach Cobb she's our softball coach. She's been our softball coach for a few years now, and she's done an excellent job with, you know, helping the sport to grow and exposing, because most of our girls that we get for softball, they haven't been exposed to softball prior to coming to high school, you know. So she's teaching them from the very, you know, bottom. She's teaching them, you know, how to, you know, read plays, how to pitch, you know, just the fundamentals of softball, and she's doing a great job at it.
And truly, she has knowledge from just about every sport.
Oh, yeah.
With being the assistant coach for baseball, and she's carrying that over from softball as well. We can't wait for the softball team, the Lady Red Jackets, taking in action in about a month. And let's talk about a sport where, you know, it really is the motor that gets the athletic calendar year going, and that is football. A lot of support comes from the boosters and alumni of Jordan. We had the privilege of live streaming that Jordan-Columbus game. It was actually our first live stream on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Very competitive game in the fourth quarter. Davin James was a playmaker. He's coming back. Derek Armitage. But I want to take it back to 2021 because, you know, the Jordan world was shocked that they canceled the season because just lack of players, injuries. That was a COVID year. But to get that to where you were able to finish the season, the last two seasons, under Coach Cadell Jenkins, and he really brought the program back up.
Right. Coach,
I got to say, that is a win.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you didn't win a game, but you were able to field a team and finish the season the last 2 years. And I'm to tell you the truth, Coach, knowing from experience and what Jordan was back in 2021 to where they are now, I know that first win is coming.
Oh, yeah.
But Coach Jenkins laid the foundation, but you got a new coach that stepped in. Talk a little bit about Coach McDaniel and his background, and what is the vision for Jordan football, especially in this new region?
Coach McDaniel, he actually last year, before he took over being the head football coach, he was my assistant wrestling coach.
Okay.
Great background, military, so he brings that discipline. He brings that, that work ethic, into the program. His sons, they played football, they wrestled. So, he comes from that hard work background. There are not too many wrestling coaches that don't know a thing about hard work. So transferring that over into football, I really and truly feel that, with the talent that he has and the type of coach that he is, we're going to get some wins. They're on the way. We're going to get some wins.
And it starts right away on August the 30th. You're taking on Chatco, which has a brand new head football coach, Coach Bruce Figgins. Yep. And so that's a game that we're hoping that we can maybe live stream on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I'm very impressed with the way the new region sets up. It really cuts back on traveling. You're not traveling to Macon to take on Ace Charter or Southwest or Rutland. You're actually here in Columbus taking on schools that were once rivals. I mean, bringing that rivalry back with Hardaway and then Columbus. And I think that is very important. I mean, you did have a rivalry with Kendrick because you were both in 2A along with Spencer. But now you'll get to see Shaw and Columbus and Hardaway and Carver. But to talk about just how that is going to really help as far as the fan base traveling to road games.
Right. Because now, when we have a game, because the 90% of them, 95% of them be right here in Columbus, your fan base is going to be there.
Those gyms are going to be packed.
Yeah, from basketball to football to any and everything that we play here in Columbus. The fan base, when we would go to Macon, you look on the other side, few parents, they made the trip, whatnot, and we love that. But at the same time, when you're here at home, you're going to get much more support. And that's going to help us financially too. And that's another thing is being on the administrative side of it. That's one thing that I do look for also is to kind of, put a couple of dollars in our pocket so that we can help get these kids what they need.
Oh, there's no question about that. We transition from fall sports to winter sports. We're going to start with wrestling because this is your pride, your bread and butter. This is what you are known for, especially here at Jordan. Just multiple region championships. We talked about the state championship in the 90s. You are the wrestling head coach, and you also have a women's team and a boys team. So just talk about just the wrestling program, where it is now, and what are the expectations coming up for this upcoming season?
Well, my boys wrestling team, they've done an outstanding job for me ever since I've been here. And like I say, I think that's what I'm kind of known for is our wrestling program. And it was built on the backs of our wrestling team. But since they've introduced girls wrestling, our girls have just come out like a blaze of glory. Last year, not last season, but last year, they ended up state runner-ups for the team state. We run a wrestling tournament here. It's called the Iron Maiden, and it's grown to be one of the biggest girls tournaments in the state of Georgia.
Oh, nice.
Last year, individually, our girls finished 4th, so we brought home a cup. They finished 4th out of 110 teams. So, and wrestling, female wrestling or girls wrestling is actually the fastest growing high school sport in the United States. Yeah, so I got a lot of girls coming back. I got my boys from last year. I did lose a few, but I will say this. I would like to highlight this. I have 2 young men that are going off to college down at Andrews, and they're going to be a part of the first ever wrestling team for Andrews College. So they're going to make history no matter what.
All right, let's move on to basketball. We're going to start with boys basketball. As you got him out of retirement, the legendary coach Gerald Turner that took the Jordan boys basketball team to win a state championship in 2007. We already talked about Terrence Hill was on that team. He's now the Columbus head basketball coach. But Coach Turner retired again, so you got a new basketball coach. And by the way, I did last season come to a Jordan basketball game where I saw you guys take on Spencer.
Okay.
Great atmosphere. I know during halftime I went over where concessions was, and I went and saw your trophies, your jerseys up there. There's a lot of tradition and history with Jordan athletics and basketball. They take pride in that state championship. I know that Coach Turner is a legend here, but we wish him well in retirement. But talk a little bit about your new head basketball coach and where's his background from?
Coach Barnes. Coach Barnes actually went to Kendrick High School.
Okay.
And since then he was a teacher here last year, and he helped out with the basketball program last year. And Coach Turner. Coach Turner and I, we go way back.
Yeah.
Okay? We go back to the Matchbox. And the Matchbox, for you all who don't know, that's our old gym. That was our small gym that we used to have. But he told me, said his wife's been giving him a hard time and said he needs to enjoy a little bit of retirement. So he gave me the word, and Coach Turner, he's been also, a coach that I could always depend on. And he said, Coach, as long as you need me to help out over here, I'll be glad to do it. But we had a young coach come in, Coach Barnes, and he was willing to take over the program. So, we decided to make that change, decided to make the change. And Coach Barnes, he's done a great job with the kids so far. He's got them working out. He's got them lifting weights and, getting their runs in. And he's also going to be my assistant cross-country coach this
There
year.
you go.
So, yeah, we like I say, there's not too many coaches here that only coach one sport. Yep.
Right. From boys basketball to girls basketball, Coach Shireen Cobb is the girls basketball coach. Made history. The Jordan Lady Red Jackets made the playoffs for the first time since 2012. I got to say, way to go, Coach
Hats
Cobb.
off to Coach Cobb.
Absolutely. They went 10-19, 7-7 in the region. I remember we were following them in that region tournament down in Spencer. And we were just like, if they knock off one of those schools from Macon, they'll get that number 4 seed and they'll at least get in the playoff. What an accomplishment by Coach Cobb. But talk about like the work ethic that Coach Cobb has just to build up the program here at Jordan as far as the Lady Red Jackets and what she expects from her team.
Well, there's so much I could say about Coach Cobb, but I think the main thing about it is she's in charge of our FCA program. And
Yes.
she brings a lot of that faith base to her coaching.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Jonathan Carastory, the president of FCA.
She brings that faith base to all her programs, and she took some kids over to a program this past week. Had about 2 or 3 of them turn their life over to God.
That's incredible.
And with saying that, that's just another reason that these girls, they rally around her. They look at her as like a mother figure, but always someone that they could talk to. And that's building those relationships. That's how you win games, because they're trusting in what you're saying. They're believing in what you're saying. So when you tell a kid to do this, that, or the other, they don't second guess what you're saying because they believe in you. And that comes a lot from her faith base.
And by the way, Jordan finished 6th in the Muskogee County Christmas Tournament. You saw that here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. They were taking on Northside in that in that 5th place game. But I was just very impressed with what Coach Cobb did as far as just building that basketball program. Moving on from winter sports now to spring sports. Let's talk boys and girls soccer. Soccer starting to become very big here in the Fountain City with the 3 outdoor teams. But Jordan Soccer, who are the coaches, and what are some of the expectations coming up in this season?
Vargo and Coach Epps are girls and boys soccer coaches, and they both are doing an excellent job. We have a lot of kids here that have played soccer in middle school. So when they got to Jordan, they were looking to continue, and they both have done an outstanding job with recruiting kids out of the hallway, getting them out there on the field, and getting them to participate in soccer. So it's definitely a plus. It's definitely a plus having both of those two here as our soccer coaches.
Absolutely. And when you have the club teams that play at Woodruff Park, like Concord Fire South and CYSC, a lot of players just coming up and playing soccer, and they have an opportunity to play at the high school level. And now with the region, you got the defending state champions, Columbus, in the region for the boys. So, here's the thing, Coach. I'm excited about soccer. We will be live streaming soccer on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Myself, I'm a play-by-play announcer for soccer, calling games for Columbus United, and used to call the Columbus Rapids. So looking forward to that. Moving on from soccer to tennis. Who is the tennis coach, and do you guys play matches at Cooper Creek Park? Or
Yes, we do.
That's what I figured. That's where they actually play the tennis matches.
Coach Hagan is our tennis coach, and Coach Hagan has done a good job. He's relatively new at coaching tennis here at Jordan. The biggest thing is getting kids out to play tennis, because most of them don't have that tennis background. And if I'm not mistaken, even in middle school, they don't even offer tennis. So unless they have maybe a family member or someone that they already know that plays tennis, it's a little harder, a little bit more difficult to get these kids out because it's totally brand new to them. Yeah. But I still watch tennis on TV. I still watch Wimbledon.
Yeah, Wimbledon's going on right now.
It's going on right now. So I still, and sometimes that's all it takes is for a kid to see it on TV to spark their interest, And if we have a vessel for them to come out and, address that interest, then you never know.
Another sport that Jordan is known for, track and field. I was in your gymnasium, saw the banners, multiple championships. Who is the track and field coach? And probably going to be somebody that is a multiple is a coach for multiple. That would be you.
That's me.
Right.
I'm the girls and the boys track coach. I had a young lady say to me the other day, said, "Coach, you've coached my mama, all my brothers, and all my sisters." And I'm just like, I've been here way too long then. But yeah, I've coached the girls and the boys. Last year we had a great season. Region runner-up on the boys' side last year. Had a number of girls that ended up going to state and placing at state as well as the boys' side. We years ago when I first started here at Jordan, I literally had about 3 kids on the team. At about 3, and I just told those kids, I said, if you just hang tight and stick with me, things will turn around. And those freshmen that were on that team, 4 years later, they ended up almost winning the state championship.
Incredible. And by the way, the Muskogee County track meet that's another event that we could possibly air on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Definitely when you get up those field events, the discus, the shot put, the long jump, the 100-meter dash. Mm-hmm. I want to get that camera when they're doing the 100-meter dash. I just want to see that. And probably football players are probably your sprinters, right? So you have some members of the football team that are running track.
Well, what we also do is we have those running backs, those wide receivers. Usually those are going to make up your sprinters, your 100, your 200, and even some of your hurdlers. Your linemen, they're going to make up your shot put and disc, And then a lot of times too, when you have your shot put and disc people, they're going to be the ones that are going to do that multiple sport like they're going to wrestle, you know. And if they don't like the uniform, then you'll see those big guys out there playing basketball, So just like our coaches, our athletes, they do multiple sports also.
And this is a perfect time to be just interested in track and field with the Olympics just around the corner.
That's right.
Finally, baseball. What Coach David Lane has done, making the playoffs the last 2 seasons. They had one of their best seasons in a long time. Jordan baseball team, we've seen the banner out in the baseball field. They won the state championship back in 1971. Jordan has had great coaches come through here, including Coach Tony Dimitri, who's now at Harris County, the former Russell County head coach. But what Coach Lane has built, and we got a chance to see Jordan. They played Kendrick, and we live streamed that game on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. They had a very successful 14-10 season, 10-4 in the region. They made the playoffs. To have the Jordan baseball team make the playoffs in back-to-back years, it featured great baseball players like Trey Stokes. But talk about just what Coach Lane has built as far as Jordan baseball and the success of making the playoffs in back-to-back years.
Well, Coach Lane, he comes from a baseball background. He played in college, played in high school, and he is, to say the least, very enthusiastic about baseball, and he takes it serious as all of our coaches do. But he has really driven home that hard work, that discipline, that, do what you're supposed to do, everybody do their job, and if you do your job, then we will be successful, and that everyone do their job mindset, that's what makes the team great, and that's what he's done.
Coach, my final question to you is, what are some sports, if they were here at Jordan, that you would like to see again, like swimming or golf or esports? Is there any sports that you would love to see Jordan start up again?
Yeah, the esports, because that's relatively new.
Oh, it's up and coming.
Yeah.
Especially with that new NCAA football game that's coming out in a couple days.
Right. So, the biggest thing is, having coaches that are, or maybe even classroom teachers, because when you start talking about esports, you don't necessarily need like your teacher that used to be an athlete and that was the sport that they did, because it's so new. This might be our math teacher, or it might be our English teacher.
Right.
So, when we have the interest from the kids to say that, hey, do we have an esports, team or anything like that? Then that's when me, as being the athletic director, I can start saying, okay, shoot out an email to the teachers. Hey, anyone interested in leading this team or, being a part of this program? And from there, that's where we get the ball rolling.
And absolutely. And then maybe we could get some sports like swimming, golf. I mean,
right.
It's about getting the kids' interests.
Correct.
But my final thing to you, Coach, is what's the message you want to send to the Jordan alumni out there, Red Jacket Nation, just how they can support Jordan athletics?
Oh, yeah. Two things. And I always say this. One is just our athletic program, come out and just support not just our basketball and our football, but come to the track meets, come to the wrestling meets, and even some of the what I consider to be like some of the non-revenue sports. You would be surprised how well these kids perform, but they just need that little glimmer of, hope and that glimmer of help and seeing you in the audience or seeing you in the stands that's going to make it worthwhile, And the other thing is financially, I learned a long time ago is the more you win, the more expensive it gets. And when you start to think about it, some people, some teams, their seasons is over at the end of the regular season. But if you have a team that does well, now they go into postseason. So now that might include a little bit more travel, hotels, things like that. So, with your donations and things like that going toward the booster clubs or just toward the athletic program, that's how you can really help these kids.
Well, Coach, it has been an outstanding interview. Thank you so much for taking time and talking about Jordan athletics. And once again, I'm just glad to be back here at Jordan and just sitting down with you. And can't wait to see you next year.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Thank you. All right.
Athletic Director, Coach Russell Scott of the Jordan Red Jackets. I want to thank Chris Gates, our producer. We couldn't do this without Chris Gates. I mean, not only he's a producer superstar, he's also an on-air talent. But I'm just excited. So for Chris Gates, Thrip Behringer, I'm Richard Holdridge saying so long from Jordan High School here on Sitting Down with an Athletics Director, State of the Programs. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. Here we're signing off here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Take it easy.